73rd birthday, my mom baked the most amazing cake known to mankind. 5 layers of thickly frosted goodness, and at the top, a menagerie of mini marshmallow animals just waiting to be devoured by a certain 4-year-old. I was told in no uncertain terms to stay away from the cake. My mother knew that the moment I ingested sugar, I would become intensely hyperactive, develop tunnel vision, and devote the rest of my life to getting more sugar until there was none left in the entire world. Her first mistake was turning her back. Lightning fast, I reached out and grabbed a chunk from the top layer. And though I had failed to get the giraffe I so coveted, I was briefly appeased by the moist vanilla cake, the impossibly smooth buttercream frosting melting in my mouth. Erika G, what is wrong with you? Are you trying to ruin your grandmother's birthday? I was trying to get cake and a giraffe. What did she think I was doing? I then watched as she turned the 5-layer cake into a 4-layer cake. I figured she'd give me the top layer since my germs were all over it. But she threw it down the sink. She then got tired of holding the cake out of my reach and put it on top of the refrigerator. But I had tasted cake. There was no going back. My tiny body had morphed into a writhing mass of pure tenacity, encased in a layer of desperation. I would eat all of the cake, or I would evaporate from my sheer desire to do so. My freakish climbing abilities soon proved her top of the refrigerator idea to be a failed solution to my need for more sugar. So she put the cake into the refrigerator with a very heavy box in front of it. I decided my best bet would be to dramatically throw myself against it repeatedly. So she had no choice but to move the box, lest I destroy myself. Surprisingly, this tactic did not go as planned. Knock it off. Go outside and play until it's time to go. I went outside, and I played with my toys, but I did not have fun! My toys died many a vengeful death as I focused on my goal. Finally, my mom called to me and handed me a dress to put on since we had to go soon. Put it on backwards just to make her life more difficult. She strapped me into my car seat and put the cake on the front passenger seat. Just out of reach. She was taunting me. I just knew it. The moment we entered my grandparents' house, my grandmother accosted me. And as I struggled to free myself from Grandma's embrace, I watched as my mom disappeared around the corner. A door slammed? A lock clicked? She had locked the cake in the back bedroom. How was I going to get to it now? I wasn't nearly strong enough to kick the door down, and I hadn't yet learned the art of lockpicking. How could my family just sit there placidly as my entire reason for living was slipping through my grasp? I couldn't take it anymore. My little mind began to crumble. I collapsed into a full-scale psychological meltdown. All of the day's frustrations burst forth from my tiny body like bees in a hive pelted with rocks. My family unanimously decided that I was to be sent outside until I had stopped screaming and punching. I was banished to the backyard where I stood, peering dolefully through the sliding glass doors, trying to look as pitiful as possible so they would have no choice but to let me back in. The cake was still locked in the back bedroom, but if I could just get inside, Desperation breeds ingenuity. I knew my only option was to manipulate their emotions so they'd take pity on me and let me back inside, closer to the cake. When my theatrics failed to produce the desired result, I resorted to crying loudly. It was working. I could see my mom coming toward the door. Your ridiculous hysterics are upsetting everyone, and you're fogging up the glass. Play on the side yard. I trudged around in the side yard, glaring reproachfully over my shoulder. She'd be sorry if I were to die out there. She'd wish she had given me cake, but it would be too late. As I rounded the corner, the personal tragedy I was constructing inside of my head was interrupted by a sliver of hope. There, above me, was a window. And on the other side of that particular window was the room with the cake. The window was open, covered by a screen, but my dad had taught me how to push them out in case there was a fire and I was too stupid to figure it out myself. I clambered up the side of the house, and I pushed against that screen with all my might, and it gave way. And there I was, just me and the cake, unimpeded by even the simplest of obstacles. My entire body quivered with anticipation as I crept slowly, reverently toward the cake. I ate the entire cake. At one point, I became aware of an oppressive fullness building inside of me, but I kept eating. A combination of spite and stubbornness. No one could tell me not to eat an entire cake. Not God, not my mom, not Santa, no one. It was my cake, and I would eat all the cake I damn well pleased, and everyone else could go and take a flying leap. I spent the rest of the afternoon in a hyperglycemic fit, alternately running around like a maniac and regurgitating the multicolored remains of my conquest all over my grandparents' carpet. I was miserable, but the pain I felt was nothing compared to the satisfaction every time my conniving, cake-hoarding mother had to watch me retch up another rainbow of sweet, semi-digested success. This is what happens, Mom. When you get between me and cake, I silently dared her to challenge me again. Just once. Just to see what would happen. Because in that moment, it didn't matter how awful I felt. I was a god. The god of cake. And I was unstoppable. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Of The God of Cake by Allie Brosh.